Welcome to your cinema. Thanks for swinging by. Today we are going to be looking at the amazing Spider-Man and his powers, skills, and equipment. Spider-Man is a superhero in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. Created by writer-editor Stan Lee and artist Steve Ditko, he first appeared in the anthology comic book Amazing Fantasy No. 15, August 1962, in the Silver Age of comic books. He has been featured in comic books, television shows, films, video games, novels, and plays. Spider-Man has the secret identity of Peter Benjamin Parker. Initially, Peter was depicted as a teenage high school student and an orphan raised by his Aunt May and Uncle Ben in New York City after his parents, Richard and Mary Parker, died in a plane crash. Lee Ditko and later creators had the character deal with the struggles of adolescence and young adulthood and gave him many supporting characters, such as Flash Thompson, J. Jonah Jameson, and Harry Osborn. Romantic interests Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane Watson, and the Black Cat, and enemies such as Dr. Octopus, the Green Goblin, and Venom. In his origin story, Peter gets his superhuman spider powers and abilities after being bitten by a radioactive spider. These powers include superhuman strength, agility, reflexes, stamina, durability, coordination, and balance, clinging to surfaces and ceilings like a spider, and detecting danger with his precognition ability called spider sense. He builds wrist-mounted web shooter devices that shoot artificial spider webs of his own design, which he uses both for fighting and travel, or web swinging across the city. Peter Parker initially used his powers for his personal gain, but after his Uncle Ben was killed by a thief that Peter could not stop, he began to use his powers to fight crime by becoming Spider-Man. Before Spider-Man first appeared in the early 1960s, teenagers in superhero comic books were usually relegated to the protagonist's psychic role. The Spider-Man comic series broke ground by featuring Peter Parker, a high school student from the Queensboro of New York City, as Spider-Man's secret identity, whose self-obsessions with rejection, inadequacy, and loneliness were issues to which young readers could relate. While Spider-Man was a quintessential sidekick, unlike previous teen heroes Bucky Barnes and Robin, Spider-Man had no superhero mentor like Captain America and Batman. He had learned the lesson for himself that with great power comes great responsibility, a line included in a text box in the final panel of the first Spider-Man's origin story, but later retroactively attributed to the late Uncle Ben Parker. Marvel has featured Spider-Man in several comic book series, the first and longest-lasting of which is The Amazing Spider-Man. Since his introduction, the main continuity version of Peter has gone from a high school student to attending college to currently being somewhere in his late 20s. Peter has been a member of numerous superhero teams, most notably the Avengers and Fantastic Four. Dr. Octopus also took on the identity for a story arc spanning 2012 to 2014, following a body swap plot in which Peter appears to die. Marvel has also published comic books featuring alternate versions of Spider-Man, including Spider-Man 2099, which features the adventures of Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of the future, Ultimate Spider-Man, which features the adventures of a teenage Peter Parker in the alternate universe, and Ultimate Comics, Spider-Man, which depicts a teenager named Miles Morales who takes up the mantle of Spider-Man after Ultimate Peter Parker's apparent death. Miles later became a superhero in his own right and was brought into mainstream continuity during the Secret Wars event, where he sometimes works alongside the mainline version of Peter. Spider-Man is one of the most popular and commercially successful superheroes. He has appeared in countless forms of media, including several animated TV series. The first original animated series, Spider-Man, with Paul Sauls voicing the titular character, a live-action television series, syndicated newspaper comic strips, and multiple series of films. Spider-Man was first portrayed in live action by Danny Seagren in Spidey Super Stories, a recurring skit on the Electric Company from 1974 to 1977. In live-action films, Spider-Man has been portrayed by actors Tobey Maguire in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, by Andrew Garfield in 2 films directed by Mark Webb, and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by Tom Holland. Reeve Carney originally starred as Spider-Man in the 2010 Broadway musical Spider-Man, Turn Off the Dark. Spider-Man was also voiced by Jake Johnson and Chris Pine in the animated film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, with the former reprising his role in the sequel, Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse. Powers, skills, and equipment. Peter Parker has superhuman spider powers and abilities derived from mutations resulting from the bite of a radioactive spider. Since the original Lee Ditko stories, Spider-Man has had the ability to cling to walls. This has been speculated to be based on a distance-dependent interaction between his body and surfaces, known as the Van der Waals force. Though in the 2002 Spider-Man film, his hands and feet are lined with tiny clinging cilia in the manner of a real spider's feet. Spider-Man's other powers include superhuman strength, agility, and balance, and a precognitive sixth sense referred to as his spider sense, which alerts him to danger. Spider-Man has a healing factor that allows him to recover from injuries sustained during battle. In the aftermath of the 1989 Acts of Vengeance storyline, Spider-Man was said to have superhuman recuperative abilities that sped up his recovery from the exhaustion he suffered in defeating the Tri-Sentinel. The character was originally conceived by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko as intellectually gifted, and later writers have depicted his intellect at genius level. Academically brilliant, Peter has expertise in the fields of applied science, chemistry, physics, biology, engineering, mathematics, and mechanics. With his talents, he sews his own costume to conceal his identity, and he constructs many devices that complement his powers, most notably mechanical web shooters that allow him to shoot webs, swing at high speeds throughout the city, and navigate and trap his enemies with his webs, additionally with a spider signal as a flashlight and a warning beacon to criminals. Thomas Fireheart's scientists, world-renowned, are unable to replicate the fluid Parker created while in high school. Thanks for hanging with your cinema. Be sure to subscribe to see more videos, and see you in the next one.